Good morning. I'd like to take a few moments to walk you through the Dispatch platform and how we think it can impact your business. This should only take about 30 minutes to go through. So, with that, let's get started. Speaking of time, did you realize that Americans spent 37 billion hours last year waiting on someone, whether it be a service tech, in line at a store, waiting on a spouse to get ready? We spend a massive amount of time in our lives just waiting. And about 5 billion hours of that last year is directly attributable to the service experience. The average person spends 4.5 hours waiting on a tech and about 13 hours annually waiting on the phone for customer service. So you're looking at 5 billion hours of wasted time. Think about what your time is worth. It's a frustrating experience for consumers, and no doubt you're a consumer as well. In fact, our company was founded by a single father who simply couldn't wait to get his washing machine fixed, so we bought a new one. Why would he do that? why would why would you go ahead and replace what should be an otherwise fixable unit with a brand new one? And the reality is because of the terrible experience he had just trying to get it fixed, and the time delay and the pain that was caused in waiting for that fix. And so the reason that that happens, as we see it, is because service is governed by an inherently complex system and how service is actually delivered. There are three participants in the service experience, and I've never seen a service cycle that didn't include these three players. They go by different names, so sometimes it's a consumer and a brand and a local service provider, and sometimes it's a business operator or a franchisor and a franchisee, or even a consumer, a dispatcher, and the technician. So they go by different names, but generally speaking, I'm going to go ahead and just apply nicknames to each one so that we can simplify the discussion. As I see it, it starts with the captive. This is the founder and CEO of our company, captive and waiting at home on a tech that never came with his kid screaming. The next is the responsible. This is who he called, in this case, the manufacturer, who told him they would deploy a local technician for his warranted washer. And finally, the capable. This is the tech who eventually arrived to fix it, only to discover he didn't have the parts because he wasn't aware of the model when he got the job. And so the bottom line is there's always someone waiting, there's always someone responsible, and there's always someone capable in the service experience. And it's the collaboration between these people that defines the success or failure for everybody. So when you just look at how a basic service cycle takes place, the captive makes a request to the responsible party, and they route the work to a locally capable provider who hopefully coordinates a fix with the captive customer. And a breakdown can occur at any node in this cycle. So a software industry has arisen to sell solutions to each of these problems, which seems smart, right? Business 101 says focus on the customer. Listen to the customer, you'll have a healthy business. So I guess dispatch should focus on its customers' pain points, people like you, the enterprise or a service provider or a warranter, and solve those problems. But the reality is that's where most of the software industry has let you down because they focus only on the nodes and not the space between the nodes. The messy process in communication that facilitates between the request into a job into a fix, that process, uh, the gaps in between are not being addressed by the service software industry at large. And so what we think needs to happen is somebody needs to come in and focus on the actual problems. It's not just about the endpoints, it's about all the space in between those endpoints and where the problems really exist. So that's what we did. We built Dispatch to solve the problems that exist throughout the service chain to create a better service experience for everybody. The way we do that is sort of unique because we never insist someone use our entire technology stack. We're happy to integrate what works and add what's missing. We'll go into more detail on this later as you look at how we service leads for your business. But ultimately, we're agnostic to the kinds of service software platforms that people have in place, their CRM platforms, and we just try to make sure that we cater to the most positive experience for the consumer in the end. So I think in our previous conversation, a key area for you and a gap was in process and data, specifically between yourself, obviously, and your third party network of service providers. And I think for you, that the biggest issue right now is leads and how those leads are routed, managed, and tracked in your system. And so just wanted to go ahead and walk through in more detail exactly how we can help solve the lead problem for you. As we see it, the goal should be to know the outcome, close the process and data gaps so that the leads distributed to your third-party service network give you full visibility into exactly what's happened with each one of those leads. So again, our goal is to make sure that every step in the cycle creates a kind of uh, it doesn't create any blind spots that make it impossible for you to know if you're putting your money in the right places. Famous quote: "Half this money I spent on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half." And that's ultimately because you don't have the data insights necessary to understand exactly what happened to a customer across the life cycle of their journey. You need to be able to quantify success and failure in every step of the customer journey, from first contact to sale to subsequent support. Unfortunately, the modern digital tools make it possible to understand the customer's journey to you and whether or not he bought to some extent. So, for example, to get the customer's identity, you might be able to have a form fill where they fill in their address and info, or maybe you get that info from their social link. To understand their journey, you can use web analytics and cookies to sort of track them as they move about your site and understand what they clicked on and what they did as they navigate your site. And as for outcome, you're kind of hoping just to understand, I guess, overall the number of sales that took place. The problem for most service providers, most OEMs, most warrantors, anyone who's trying to distribute service through a third party network, is you can tell what's happened on your site, but once they've left your site, the blind spots start. So your vision gets a little murky the minute a customer fills out a request to be contacted by a local dealer or reseller if they wanted to buy something. So you don't know whether they held the visit, you don't know if they bought your product or someone else's, or even if they were pleased with the experience in the end. So your marketing is basically blind with too many data gaps to make truly informed decisions. You don't know really who the customer was. Was he just price shopping? Was he looking for service on an existing unit or shopping for a new one? Did the dealer respond? Did he sell a competing product, that dealer? What was the bid and how much was it for? Did the dealer represent my brand well, and is the customer satisfied in the end? And that kind of visibility breakdown is what makes it impossible to properly optimize your marketing in a lead generation network with third party service providers. And that's where we come in. So, a key reason that Dispatch exists, in addition to the many other benefits in actual workflow, is that we act as a pair of glasses, clarifying the customer journey and the outcome with precise detail. And so you can plug in the gaps and fill in the entire life cycle from first visit to service event post install with Dispatch.